Art Kurtz here for Easy Access Math. And today we're going to do factoring by grouping with a negative sign in the center. So let me show you what that is. That center sign being negative. And when that happens, it's a little trickier. Something a little differently happens at the end. But I'll show you how to handle it. Let's factor by grouping with the first piece first. What we do with grouping, if you watch lesson 1, which I highly recommend, is you split it down the middle. Now we recognize it's grouping, just to review, because it's 4 pieces, 4 individual pieces. And across the 4 of them, we don't have any common elements. It's not difference of 2 squares, because that would be 2. It's not trinomial, because that would be 3 pieces. So we know this is a grouping problem. I will split it down the middle, and note there is a negative sign as the center sign, so things will be a little different at the end. I'll group the first one, our common element. I can pull out a 3. Let's do that in a blue for doing our factoring. And I also have an x, which comes out, leaving me with 2a minus 3b, which is in the middle because the 3x comes out. And if I would distribute that as a check, they would work out to the original 6ax minus 9bx. Now, what I'm going to do is factor the other side. Remember, this is a good chance. It could be an answer on your test if you're looking for a factor. This problem has 2 factors. This is one of the 2 factors, 2a minus 3b. And we pull out the 3x. That will come into play a little later. Now let me come to this side over here, and I have 12az plus 18bz. I'm not going to look at that sign for now. And what I do is, I will pull out the common factor, which 6 is the number that goes into both 12 and 18. And also there's a z in both sides, so the 6z comes out, leaving me with 12 divided by 6, because remember, when you factor, you're dividing out what you pulled outside. As I would have done here, I pull out the 3x from both sides, so you're dividing that out to get the insides. So I have the z's cancel out, leaving me with 2a plus 18 divided by the 6 that's outside is 3, and the z's cancel out, leaving me with 3b. And you look and it almost works, but the signs are wrong. And here's where that negative sign comes into play. Remember, the negative changes what's after it, and a good way to look at it is when you have that center sign as negative, the second parentheses, the sign changes. So if you have a plus in the second parentheses, as we did, it turns negative. And if you would have had a negative there, it turns plus. This plus turning minus makes it match. So remember what I said before. If you do it correctly, this one is the factor that this one should match with. And when you have the center sign negative, the sign in the second part changes, and it changes to match. It does match. So 2a minus 3b is a factor. It matches. And now that negative sign comes into play again because it's the center sign for the outer numbers, which comprise the other factor. If this is not one of the factors given, and please be careful with your signs. It's going to be, if you do it correctly, the sign that you got from the first group. The second one should match it. Either if it's positive by itself or if it's negative, you have to change it and it will match it. Or it could be the outer numbers, which are 3x in this case, and 6z, and the center sign comes between those outer numbers. So my two factors for this polynomial, this four-piece polynomial, a quad, would be 3x minus 6z and 2a minus 3b. When you would multiply using FOIL, it should work out to the same. So let's try it. First, we have 6x and a, so actually it would be 6ax, because I have the a there, and I'll just put that in the order alphabetically. xa and ax mean the same thing. And then I have outer, which is minus 9bx, and inner, which is minus 12az, and last, which is a negative and a negative, a positive 18bz. I'm just putting the letters in alphabetical order, but all the elements here are down here with their signs, 9bx, 6ax, so it checks out using FOIL. Those are my two factors. So if you ask for one factor, it could either be this one, 3x minus 6z, or 2a minus 3b. And we got that 2a minus 3b pretty quickly early on in our working on this grouping factoring problem. Just be very careful with your signs, and you may want to review the common factor lessons that we have on YouTube, either our Easy Access or other great YouTube videos on common factoring, factoring out the common terms, because what you're really doing with grouping is two pieces of common factoring, and then you're joining the outer numbers. And that's how you factor by grouping. A little more difficult because we had that negative sign in the center, but it all worked out at the end.